I should have known the night before the wedding, the way his phone screen lit up at 2:13 a.m. Face down, always. But that night it buzzed loud against the marble nightstand in our hotel suite. Just once. No second buzz, no follow-up. The kind of message you don't want a reply to, or one you already know won't get one. I lay there in bed beside him, still in my Spanx and half my makeup, pretending to be asleep. It was my sister's wedding weekend. My hair was still in rollers. I had dry mouth from the rehearsal dinner wine, and I felt that tight, slippery anxiety in my ribs that comes when everything's supposed to be perfect, but something, deep down, isn't. And yet, I didn't check. Not that night. Not even when he rolled away from me in bed like a man avoiding guilt by pretending it never happened. I've always been the calm one. That's what my mom says. Samara doesn't stir the pot. That was her toast when I graduated college. Real quote. So I didn't ask about the text. I smiled at breakfast the next morning like my teeth weren't clenched. I hugged my sister by the makeup chair and took selfies with her like my stomach wasn't curling into a fist. And I let myself believe that I was being paranoid. That maybe, just maybe, what everyone said about Jonah was true. That he was such a catch. The one who balances you. A real man. So mature for his age. I let myself believe all of it, even though his phone never left his pocket that entire morning. Even when I passed it to him to take a picture of me and my little cousins, he used my phone instead. Even when his phone rang during the vows, he silenced it, didn't even glance down. He knew exactly who it was, but I didn't know what he was about to do. No one did, not even my sister, because the man I loved, the one I lived with, shared a Netflix account with, split rent with down to the decimal, dropped to one knee right there. In front of my family, in front of the flower wall, right after my sister's bouquet toss hit the ground and before the DJ could switch tracks. And I said yes, because what the hell else could I do? I was holding a champagne flute and everyone's eyes were on me. My aunts, my mom, the cousins, even the bartender. There was a spotlight. I remember that. The weird accidental spotlight from someone's iPhone flashlight, pointed just a few inches too high. It made the whole thing feel like a theater show, like a fake wedding within a wedding. I felt my face smile before my mind caught up. And then came the claps. And then the photos, the kiss, the ring on my finger. Too big. Slipped twice. My mom said, "Oh my God, finally!" My dad said, "He's a good man, Sam." My sister smiled. But it didn't reach her eyes. She hugged me, but not tight. And the photographer, bless his heart, took more pictures of us than of her for the rest of the night. And then came the aftermath, the Instagram stories, the reposts, the flood of texts from people who weren't even at the wedding. Congrats! OMG, didn't see this coming. You guys are perfect. But Jonah never posted anything. Not one photo, not one caption, not even a like. When I asked him about it back in the hotel room, he smiled and said, "Let's keep it just ours for now. Private moment. Before the internet ruins it." I nodded, kissed him again, let myself pretend that was romantic. But I didn't sleep that night. I waited until 3:00 a.m. when his breaths got heavy and he started that soft snore I used to find cute. I unlocked his phone with his fingerprint while he was asleep. And that's when I saw it. The 2:13 a.m. message that started it all. From a number not saved. Just digits. "Guess I won't wait anymore. Have a nice life." Followed by a single photo of Jonah, shirtless, face turned, neck marked, and a wrist, a woman's wrist, in the frame, with the same gold watch he told me was his mom's gift. I stared at that screen until it burned. Then I did something I hadn't done since I was 15 and sobbing in a Wendy's bathroom stall after catching my high school boyfriend kissing someone else. I flushed the toilet just to muffle the sound of my own breathing. I took a screenshot, sent it to my own phone, deleted the preview, and I put his phone back. The next morning, while he was still asleep, I slipped the ring into a Starbucks cup and left it on the dresser. I packed fast, one suitcase, no hair tools, and I was out of that hotel before the sun cracked the clouds. My mom texted me at 9:42 a.m. "Where are you?" Jonah's worried sick. Call me now. I didn't reply. My sister called twice. I declined both. I went straight to the airport with no flight booked. I stood in the Delta line with my hoodie up, trembling. I picked the first available ticket that got me far from Tampa, Denver. Cheapest one-way flight. The gate agent asked if I was okay. I told her yes. I was not. And I didn't tell anyone where I went. Not until 3 months later. Not until I'd found out who she was, and why she messaged him that night. But before that came the silence. The weeks in hiding. The missed calls. The lies I told my landlord. The voicemail from my boss asking if I'd quit. And the GoFundMe my sister started for mental health support, without telling me. Because apparently I was having a breakdown. But I wasn't crazy. I was just finally seeing the truth. I stayed in Denver with a friend from college, Kira. We hadn't talked in years, but she took me in. She didn't ask questions, just gave me a blanket, a towel, and the guest room. I stared at the ceiling for a week, watched reruns of Grey's Anatomy and ate rice with butter. I deleted Instagram, turned off Red receipts, lived like a ghost. But the truth doesn't stay hidden, especially not when the woman from the photo, the wrist, the gold watch, the other side of my private proposal, finally found me. And what she told me made everything worse. Because I wasn't the only one he proposed to, and I wasn't the first to say yes. Her name was Elise. She had bright red nails and a LinkedIn bio that said wellness mentor, mindset coach, spiritual alignment guide. And the first photo I saw of her made me think, oh, she's the opposite of me. Not better, not worse, just the kind of woman who wears strappy gold heels to brunch and talks in captions like, healing isn't linear, babe. She found me on Facebook Messenger. That's what threw me off. Not a DM, not an email, but a Facebook message, which I hadn't checked in months. Elise T. Hey, I know this is random, but I think you're engaged to my ex. And I think you deserve to know the truth before you marry him. I stared at the message for 10 minutes before clicking her profile. We had 2 mutual friends. One was Jonah. The other was a girl named Brittany from college, who I hadn't seen since spring formal, and who had liked Jonah's engagement photo on Instagram, the one he posted 3 weeks after I left. Caption: sometimes love doesn't make sense. You just know. Comment section full of yes! And finally, and heart emojis. But one person, one anonymous account, had commented, didn't he propose to someone else first? That comment had no likes, but it was deleted within a day. I know because I checked. I took screenshots. Elise's message sat unopened in my inbox for 4 hours. I read it from the preview bar like it was poison I couldn't touch yet. I reread the text she sent Jonah that night. Guess I won't wait anymore. Have a nice life. Was that her? Was that the moment he decided to propose to me? As a cover-up? It felt too surreal. Like I was part of a plot twist everyone else knew but me. When I finally messaged her back, my hands were shaking. Me. Hi. You said you were Jonah's ex? How do you know who I am? She replied instantly. Elise T. Because you were in his tagged photos. Because I was supposed to marry him in March. Because I saw your engagement post and I almost threw up. I dropped my phone. Literally. Onto Kira's guest room carpet. March. The month before he proposed to me. I picked the phone back up. Me. Wait. You were engaged to him? How long ago did you two break up? Elise T. We didn't. We were on a break. He proposed to you while telling me he just needed space. There it was. The fire. It burned in my throat. In my face. In my spine. Me. He never mentioned you. He said he hadn't dated anyone seriously before me. Elise T. Classic. He was with me for 2 years. We were picking out rings. He told me he just needed time to think, and ghosted for a week. Then I saw your sister's wedding pics. That's when I sent the 2 a.m. text. I knew then. It had been her. The woman in the picture. The wrist. The watch. the other life. I sat there for a long time. Didn't cry, didn't rage, just let it sink into my skin like cold water. Jonah had been living two lives. Maybe not fully, maybe not with full intent, but enough to leave wreckage in two different zip codes. I asked Elise if she wanted to talk on the phone. She agreed. She had a calm voice, softer than I expected. No venom, just this sad kind of exhaustion, like someone who had already grieved the man I was just beginning to lose. She told me they met in a yoga retreat. He was healing from burnout. Said all the right things. Slept in her bed by the second week. He never told her about me. She found out when she saw a video of my sister's wedding on someone's public story. Jonah had been kissing me on camera, with her engagement ring still in a drawer. She mailed it back to him. Never got a reply. We stayed on the phone for an hour and 40 minutes. When I told her about the Starbucks cup, the ring I left behind, she laughed. This bitter little sound like a broken wind chime. Elise. So neither of us said no, we just left. I nodded. Me. Do you think he's proposed to anyone else since? She paused. Elise. Honestly? If he did, I'd believe it. I don't remember much after that call. Just the weight of knowing I hadn't been chosen. I'd been used. As a smokescreen. A cover story. A human PR strategy. He didn't love me. He needed me. Needed me to look like the woman who could vouch for him. Because Elise had caught on. And now? Now he was engaged. Again. To another woman. Her name was Rachel. I only found out because Elise kept tabs on him. She sent me the link. Engagement photo number 2. Same beach, different dress, same caption format. Sometimes it just makes sense. Different ring. I stared at that post until the sun rose. That morning, I bought a burner phone from Walgreens, switched my SIM card, and I made a decision. I was going to his new engagement party. Not to cause a scene, not to throw a drink, but to tell Rachel what no one had told me, to let her choose, with the full story. I found the invite on her Instagram. Public story. She posted the date, time, and location. Cute little Airbnb rooftop. Saturday at 6 p.m. I RSVP'd under a fake name. Vanessa Carter. Brought a bottle of Prosecco. Wore a green dress. The kind Jonah always said made my arms look strong. And when he saw me across the patio, he froze. Like a ghost had just walked through the appetizer table. His eyes flicked from me to Rachel. Back to me. Back to the past. I walked up slow, smiling. Held out the bottle like a peace offering. Me. Hi, sorry I'm late. I brought something bubbly. Rachel smiled. Jonah didn't. He grabbed my wrist lightly. Jonah. What are you doing here? Me. Celebrating your engagement. I looked at Rachel. Me. Mind if we talk for a minute? She looked confused. A little wary, but she nodded. We stepped aside. I handed her my phone. Opened the folder labeled Elise. Photos, screenshots, timelines. I said nothing. Just let her scroll. After a few seconds, she stopped. Looked up at me. Rachel. He told me you were crazy. I nodded. Me. They always do. She went quiet. Tears welled. Not full breakdown. Just enough to blur her eyeliner. Rachel. Do you want me to make a scene? Me. No. I just wanted you to know. And I walked away. Left the Prosecco on the bar. Took the elevator down like it was any other building. My phone buzzed before I hit the street. A message from Jonah. Jonah. You just can't let me be happy, huh? I blocked him. Elise called me later that night. She'd seen it all on Rachel's story. The party ended early. Rachel posted a black screen with the caption, "Wow. Just wow." Comments went wild, but none from Jonah. He's probably drafting another proposal by now. But here's the thing. I'm not angry anymore. I'm relieved. Relieved I trusted the 2:13 a.m. buzz. Relieved I walked away. Relieved I left that ring in a coffee cup like a goddamn mic drop. Because some people don't want partners. They want alibis. And I won't be anyone's cover story ever again. After the engagement party, things went quiet. Not just online. Inside me. It was like I'd walked out of a burning house and didn't realize how much smoke was in my lungs until I stood in clean air. I slept through the night for the first time in weeks. Ate real food again. Took a shower that lasted more than 5 minutes. And for the first time since leaving Florida, I opened my notes app and wrote something down. Just because someone chooses you doesn't mean they see you. Kira found me on the couch the next morning, laptop open, fingers frozen. She handed me coffee, raised an eyebrow. Kira, you look like someone who just survived a car crash. Me, I kinda did. Kira, well, I hope he gets hit by one. We laughed. That good, cathartic kind of laugh that comes after too much crying. But something still didn't sit right. Because as much as I wanted to move on, and God, did I kept thinking about Rachel. And not just Rachel. Elise. And probably others. I kept thinking about how he kept getting away with it. Every proposal like a reset button. Every woman a new chapter where the last one got erased. What if next time, the girl didn't get a warning text at 2:13 a.m.? What if she believed his version of me? The crazy ex who stormed out for no reason. I knew I couldn't stop him from being who he was. But I could at least warn the next one, so I did something I swore I'd never do. I posted my story. On Reddit. Anonymous account. Throwaway. But it was me. I wrote everything. The proposal, the text, the photo, the ring in the coffee cup, the rooftop party, Elise, Rachel, all of it. I hit post at 3:41 p.m., went to the kitchen, made popcorn, tried to distract myself. By 4 o'clock p.m., it had 40 upvotes. By 5:30, it was on the front page of R2 Hot Takes. People ate it up. Thousands of comments, mostly support. A few skeptics. Some guy said, "This reads like a Netflix script." I smiled, because it did, and that's what made it worse. People shared it on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. I went viral, except nobody knew it was me, until someone did. One of Jonah's coworkers. She DM'd me on Reddit, using a throwaway too. "Hey, I think I work with the guy in your post. He just got fired." I stared at the screen. Me. Are you serious? How do you know it's him? Her. Because he proposed to someone at the office last year. Same ring style, same MO. We thought it was weird. HR got involved. Now our boss found your post. He's done. I didn't know what to feel. Guilt? No. Relief? Kind of. But mostly just confirmation. He'd been doing this for years, using women like plot points, engagements as masks, proposals as silencing tools. Because how can anyone question you if you're the one holding the ring? A day later, Elise called. Elise, have you seen Twitter? Me. No, why? Elise, he made a video. I froze. Me. A video? Elise. Apology, or something like it. I searched, found it, posted to his personal YouTube. Title: My Truth. It was 10 minutes long. He sat in a blank white room, wore a hoodie, looked sad, talked about mental health, miscommunication, love addiction, and how online hate is destroying lives. He didn't deny the proposals, just framed them as efforts to connect in a broken world. I wanted to throw my laptop. The comments were mixed. Some people bought it. Others linked my post, pointed out the timeline, called him manipulative. Rachel liked one of those comments. And that was the final confirmation. She believed me. 3 days later, I got a package in the mail. No return address, just a slim box. Inside, the engagement ring he gave me. Still in the Starbucks cup. Cleaned. A note in Rachel's handwriting. Thought you should have this. I'm done too. I stared at that ring for a long time. Then I drove to the nearest pawn shop, got $300 for it, used the money to take Kira out to dinner. We got pasta, real wine, laughed until we cried. But the story didn't end there, because I got a DM a week later from another woman, different state. She wrote, "Hey, I think he proposed to me too." Her name was Megan, and she lived in Austin. I remember reading her DM while I stood in line at Trader Joe's, holding a frozen bag of Mandarin chicken and a bouquet of $4.99 tulips. Her message was direct. No emojis, no drama, just facts. Megan W. I know this is probably insane, but I think your story is about my ex too. Jonah B. from Tampa, right? I stood there, completely still, as the guy behind me shifted his cart and mumbled, "You good?" I blinked and nodded, stepped forward, and messaged her back as fast as my thumbs could go. Me. Yes, that's him. When were you two together? Megan W. Summer 2022 through early 2023. He used to fly here twice a month, said he was remote, told me he was single, told me he was serious. I almost dropped my phone. Summer 2022 was when we'd taken our anniversary trip to Asheville. He'd told me he was at a work summit. I'd believed him. Even sent him a selfie in the cabin hot tub, trying to be flirty. He sent back a thumbs up emoji and said he was in a meeting. He had been with Megan, flying to her, living another life. Megan W. He never proposed, but he talked about it. Said he wanted something real. Then he ghosted me in February, no warning. I only found your post because someone tagged me in a TikTok. That's when it hit me, how far this had reached. My anonymous post had been turned into a TikTok story time by some creator with 600K followers. People were making animations, voiceovers, memes. Jonah had gone viral, but not for the reasons he wanted. I met Megan over FaceTime 2 days later. She wore an oversized hoodie and drank green tea and had this quiet, unassuming warmth about her, like someone who never thought she'd be dragged into a digital hurricane. We compared stories, dates, flights, receipts. We pieced together a rough timeline, like detectives on a cold case, and the overlap was sickening. He'd been with Elise and me during the same months, then Megan and me, then Rachel. 3 of us overlapped. All 4 of us proposed to, or prepped for it. Elise had the yoga retreat. I had the wedding proposal. Megan had the weekend road trip in a rented Jeep to meet his family, except they canceled last minute. Rachel had the rooftop party. It wasn't a love story. It was a pattern. We decided to create a group chat. Me, Elise, Megan, Rachel. We called it the Fiancés. Inside that chat, we laughed. We healed. We shared photos, therapy memes, wine wrecks. And slowly, we stopped blaming ourselves. Because this wasn't about any of us not being enough. It was about him being a compulsive pretender. Jonah's house of cards was falling. And for once, it wasn't landing on one woman's shoulders. I got an email a week later, from a reporter. She worked for an online women's outlet and had connected the dots. Asked if I'd speak anonymously. I hesitated, but something inside me, the part that had stayed silent for so long, said yes. We talked for an hour. I told her the truth, every detail. She cross-checked with Elise, Megan, and Rachel, and then she published the piece. Headline: The man who proposed 4 times in 1 year, and the women who said no by walking away. It blew up. Reddit reposted it. So did BuzzFeed. People were stunned, outraged, inspired. And Jonah? Well, he finally disappeared. No more apology videos, no more podcasts. He deleted his socials, vanished like he always did. But this time, there was nowhere left to hide. A few months later, I got a card in the mail. No name on the return address. Just a soft cream envelope with my full name in calligraphy. Inside, "Thank you. I almost became number 5. I saw the article. I walked away in time. L." I cried when I read it. Not because I was sad, because I knew I'd broken the cycle. Maybe not completely, maybe not forever, but enough to give someone else a warning before it was too late. The group chat still exists. We talk weekly. Megan is dating someone new. So is Elise. Rachel's in therapy and just adopted a cat. And me, I've started writing. For real this time. Not just Reddit posts. A book. Tentative title: The Ring in the Coffee Cup. It's about finding clarity in chaos. About trusting your gut. About how silence isn't always peace. Sometimes it's survival. But I never could have written it if I hadn't cracked at the right time. If I hadn't trusted the buzz of a phone at 2:13 a.m. If I hadn't walked away. There's one last thing I want to share. Because it's what made it all real. 2 weeks ago, I got an email from Jonah. Yes, him. Subject line: one last thing. I opened it. Just one line inside. Do you ever miss me? I stared at that screen for a long time. And then I clicked reply. I wrote exactly what I needed to say. Me. No, I finally met myself. I didn't respond to Jonah's email. Not directly, anyway. I think some part of me wanted to. Wanted to drop some perfectly crafted poetic line like, you don't miss people, you miss control. Or maybe something pettier, like a selfie with my middle finger up and a caption that said, miss this. But instead, I closed the tab. Let it sit in the archive with every other open wound he'd ever left behind. Because the truth was, I didn't miss him. I missed who I thought he was. I missed the version of us that existed in filtered photos, inside well-lit brunches and couples therapy memes, in the way we held hands like a brand new phone, something shiny and full of potential. But that was the illusion. And now I was finally living in the aftermath, with eyes open. The story didn't go viral forever. Eventually, it faded into the algorithm, as all things do. But what didn't fade was the community that came out of it. More women messaged me. More stories. More receipts. More Me Toos. One had been with Jonah back in 2019. Another said she wasn't sure, but he looked exactly like the guy who ghosted her after flying her out to Miami for Valentine's Day. The group chat grew. It wasn't just the fiancés anymore. It became a support thread. For each other, for ourselves. A kind of digital survivor circle, filled with screenshots and sarcasm and late-night comfort. And slowly, the narrative shifted. From what did we miss? To what do we deserve? Elise started pitching op-eds. Rachel wrote a personal blog about emotional triangulation. Megan got certified in trauma-informed coaching. And me? I finished the book. The Ring in the Coffee Cup. Not just about Jonah. About recovery. About warning signs. About how easy it is to silence ourselves for the sake of keeping the peace. Until we explode in a grocery store, crying over frozen chicken and a cheap bouquet. I self-published it. Didn't think anyone would read it, to be honest. But Kira posted it on TikTok. With a voiceover and moody piano music and a caption that said, "My best friend survived a manipulator. This is her story." It blew up. Again. Suddenly, I was being invited on podcasts. Book clubs tagged me. Therapists recommended the story to clients. And someone, a stranger named Lee, DM'd me this. I almost moved in with him. Found your story the night before signing the lease. Thank you. That's when I knew I'd done something real. Not revenge. Not payback. But prevention. It had ripple effects. And for the first time, I didn't feel like just a chapter in someone else's lie. I was the author of my own narrative. I moved out of Kira's place eventually. Got my own studio apartment. Nothing fancy. Hardwood floors that creaked. A leaky sink. But it was mine. I'd decorate it slowly. Found joy in little things. Iced coffee in a real glass. Thrifted throw pillows. Long walks without checking my phone every 5 minutes. I stopped waiting for apologies. Stopped rereading old texts for hidden meanings. I even started dating again. Not seriously, but I took my time. Let men reveal themselves slowly, like Polaroids developing in soft light. One of them, Marcus, asked on our second date, Marcus. What's the worst thing a guy ever did to you? I sipped my drink, smiled. Me. Tried to marry me before I found out I was engagement number 4. He blinked. Marcus. You're joking. Me. I'm not, but I wrote a book about it. So it's fine now. We laughed. Because that's what healing feels like. Not forgetting, but laughing from the scar, not the wound. I think about Jonah sometimes. Not often. Not emotionally. More like an earthquake you lived through. You don't feel the tremor anymore, but you'll never forget the shape of the floor shifting under you. And if I could say one last thing, to the girl I used to be, the one smiling in the photo with a champagne flute in one hand and a ticking time bomb on her ring finger, I'd tell her this. Your silence won't save you. Your calm won't earn you love. The truth won't always be loud, but it will always be right. Because what he did wasn't love. It was a costume, a performance, and I was never meant to be part of his script. But I rewrote mine. I learned how to say no, how to say not anymore, how to say never again. And if you're watching this, if you've ever felt like the woman in the green dress, smiling through a panic attack in front of people clapping for a lie, know this. You're allowed to leave, even after saying yes. Even if they already booked the caterer. Even if you already told your mom. Even if it's messy, expensive, embarrassing, complicated. You are allowed to walk away from anyone who only loves you in public, but never in private. You are allowed to start over. You are allowed to choose yourself, even if it breaks someone else's fantasy. Because real love doesn't ask you to lose yourself to keep it alive. And if you've ever been someone's second, third, or fourth proposal, that says nothing about your worth. But it says everything about theirs. He proposed at my sister's wedding, but I gave the ring back in a coffee cup. And that was the real engagement. Me. With myself. Finally. Write a end line from the story twist for the viewers to give a comment. Was I wrong to go to the engagement party? Or did Rachel deserve the full truth before saying yes? Let me know what you would have done.